So it's a brand new era in performance for live bands and musicians. But a lot of musicians are still stuck in the past, doing things the old way, still preaching about tradition and all of that. But you will become completely irrelevant if you don't modernize your band. And in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 ways to do that. So let's get to it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now, right before we get into this video, if you are a band or a musician looking to make some serious passive income and grow a huge fan base this year, I'm advising all musicians like this to start a YouTube channel today. And that's because YouTube remains the best way for bands and artists and musicians to make a lot of passive income and build a huge fan base. And because of this, I've created the YouTube QuickStart course. This course is designed to get you up and running and making money and building a fan base on YouTube really quickly and easily. And the best part is it's completely free, and you can get instant access to it at the link in the description of this video. Okay, so way number 1 to modernize your band for the new era is to start using backing tracks. Okay, I know the whole, I don't want to use backing tracks, I don't want to sound like a karaoke and it's not authentic and blah, blah, blah. I've heard all of that before. But there's a stark reality that you're faced with, and it's this: nobody really cares. So in the modern era, you're in a position where you're trying to hold on to some tradition for no particular reason at all, really. It's not going to make you any more money. It's not going to help people see you as a better band or anything like that. Especially since it's the case that most of the modern bands that are making the real money and getting high paid gigs and stuff like that, they're using backing tracks. Now, let me be clear about what I specifically mean by backing tracks. I don't necessarily mean go download some already made tracks that you can find on the internet that are like karaoke versions, although that is an option. What I'm really speaking of is investing in equipment, or if you already have equipment, to produce your own backing tracks so that they're specific to you and your band. So have your band's vocalist to go in the studio and record some of the background vocals so they can be stacked and it sounds fuller when you're performing. And the same thing with a lot of the auxiliary parts, like, you know, say if you're doing a lot of the pop stuff or hip hop songs or stuff like that, where it's a lot of, you know, synth type sounds and stuff in there that you wouldn't normally just play on stage, where stuff like that would be better in the background. Record that stuff and use those backing tracks on stage. And it has the dual purpose of not only making your band sound better and fuller, but also making your band not have to work as hard. And that brings me to the next way to modernize your band, and that's to keep up with modern technology and start using it in your live performances. Now, of course, that includes what I just mentioned about backing tracks, but it also includes things like modern lighting and, you know, using lighting to enhance your band, using digital instruments, having, you know, alternative instruments and stuff being played on stage, maybe a guitar, things like that that kind of bring a flair to your band. A lot of the modern bands are doing like crazy stuff now, like using these huge LED light panels behind them on stage that are projecting images while they play, and it just provides this visual experience for their performance. Now, I should also bring up that this includes things like the way you dress in your band and the way that your band looks overall. You know, do you look like an old 70s band? You know, unless that's what you're specifically going for. But if you're trying to be a modern band and, you know, do modern gigs and make modern type of money, you need to look modern. You probably don't need to be wearing, you know, particular things on stage that make you look dated. And that leads me to another thing you need to start doing to modernize your band, and that is to incorporate different genres of music into your show. And of course, this doesn't include you if you're doing something specific, like your band is specifically a, you know, jazz style band and that's all you do. But even in that, you want to try to incorporate as many styles and genres of music as you can. And specifically genres of music like electronic music and dance music and hip hop and pop. These are genres that a lot of bands like, you know, rock bands and things like that tend to to stay away from, which is understandable. But we live in a society now where people listen to and enjoy different, styles of music and variety music. So you seem to be a more modern band, or you appear to be a more modern band, when you can include those genres and do them well in your show. And you can even get creative with doing that type of thing. Like if you are a rock style band or something like that, you can take a hip hop or pop song and do sort of more of a rock version of it that would fit the personality of your band, and that still helps you be more modern. Now, of course, that's something you want to be careful with. You don't want to come off as like cheesy or something like that, but this is absolutely a way you can do that. So maybe take a Megan Thee Stallion song or a Drake song or, Lil Wayne song or whomever, and try to incorporate that style into what you do, and that will help your band and your performance come off as more modern. Now, another really important thing that you need to do to modernize your band is update your musical equipment. And this is especially true for a lot of us musicians who've been gigging and stuff for a while, and we've had equipment and stuff for a while that we tend to still use because we've grown to like it and love it, and we've grown accustomed to it, and that's completely understandable. But the problem with that is that the newer music and the more modern music that's being made and put out on the radio and being produced by music producers, is that they're using more modern style equipment. They're not using an old keyboard like a Yamaha DX7 or something like that from the 80s. They're using newer equipment. And here's the thing, when you're performing for an audience and you're performing familiar songs, that audience expects those songs to sound like they hear them on the radio, at least close to that. So you want to have equipment that can at least produce a sort of reasonable facsimile of what that stuff is and where people can identify with it, rather than having like some old brass sounds on a keyboard and some old, bass guitar sound from like the 60s or something like that. When you have a more modern sound and more modern instruments, that helps make you appear more modern. And this also includes like the sound equipment and the sound system that you're using. I mean, if you got some old PV speakers, for your sound system that's from, again, like the 70s or 80s, it's not going to produce a sort of modern sound, or at least it's going to produce less of a modern sound. So it's nothing necessarily wrong with hanging on to your older equipment and even using it on some shows, but just make sure you have some more up-to-date sound equipment and musical instruments that you're using so that you can produce some of those modern sounds, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Now, another thing you want to do to modernize your band is update your branding and your style. Now, as far as style is concerned, I did already mention about dress and attire and how that fits into how your band looks. But in this one, I mean more so about the overall outlook of your band. Like, when people look at your band, do you look like an old band? Like, do you look tired and run down? Or do you look like a band that has some energy that's young and modern? And when I say this, I'm not talking about age at all, because you can be 70, 80, 90 years old. I see it all the time. And people that age are doing shows that are killing. You would never know that they were that age. Again, I'm speaking more so about the band demeanor and how you appear to other people. And as far as branding is concerned, what I mean by that is the things that you have posted on like your social media, like your website and things like that. Do you have an old outdated website that looks like it was made when the internet first came out? Or, do you have a more modern looking site with some, nice looking pictures and videos and things like that? That's going to modernize your band. And even things like your business cards. Like, do you have some business cards that look like they were made on a printer that came out in 1992 or 93 or something like that? Or do you have some more modern style looking business paraphernalia? Do you have things like a band brochure for your band, or a professionally recorded video or professionally recorded video footage of your band that looks modern, that looks like you were, doing some recent gigs and not something that looks like you did it 20, 30 years ago? And as I briefly mentioned, it also includes things like your social media accounts. Like, do you have modern pictures and videos on those? Do you have more recent comments and more recent posts where people are talking about your band currently, within the past few months at least, not something that you haven't posted on in like 2-3 years, or you only post on like once or twice every 6 months. The branding and the styling of your band in these ways are the things that are going to help your band look more modern and more up to date. And there's many other things that are included in this process of modernizing your band and updating your band. And I've done some videos about them, and you can check them out right here, right now.